TV. I'm with Gene Decode once again. One of my personal favorites. Gene. So here we are in the stage of the game with protests and looks like anarchy, just lawlessness in Portland and in Chicago. Trump is bringing in the troops. Government shutdown. Democrats don't want to agree to anything. Where are we in the stage of the game right now? And do Portland and Chicago have anything to do with underground tunneling systems to where Antifa can move freely there without being detected? Go ahead, take it away.
Of course, the dam that goes from up in the state out through Chicago Bay, yeah, out through Chicago Harbor into the Great Lakes, that's been completely under control of the alliance for a very long time.
Okay.
So they have no access to that in Chicago, and the same is true for Portland. That that's a harbor too. There's harbors there, and that area of Oregon, and that go up under the state and go all the way across the country, and those are under control of the alliance too. So most of the over 80% of the dumps nationwide and even worldwide are now under the alliance control.
Well, we had to fight the tunnel wars. What, the last 10 years is what's been going on, or how long has it been going on to where everything we're seeing now happen on the surface is all because we've got that under control, correct? I mean, how long were we at war in these tunnel wars? I mean,
Yeah. So it began in earnest and really serious in Trump's first term.
okay.
Uh, and he gave $500 million. If you may remember, in my early decode, I did a expose, and I showed that there was $500 million given to the military to develop underground warfare.
Well, I
And they
remember that. I remember that.
and that's when it started heavily. However, and I thought that's when it just started. But I've recently learned that it's been going on for 50 years between the alliance and the cabal. So not at that kind of serious level. So the cabal was always making them faster and more tunnels fast, making dumps faster and more tunnels faster than the alliance was taking them up until that time. It's like what we see now on the surface too, with the military cleaning up the military, with him calling in the military a command to summons for
Yes.
all of the military generals to go in, and Hegseth talked to him first in public. That's the cover story, and then in private. And he said, anybody that doesn't like what I just said can retire now, or you, and a whole lot of them, you don't need to retire. The following people, the following commanders, lieutenants, etc., stand up, and you'll be marched out in
In other
cuffs.
words, show yourself as a traitor.
Yeah, he
And
he
and
read
did it
off
did it
a
happen?
series of names. He read off a series of names. Like you interviewed Sheila Holm, and she
Yeah.
gave you some of those names and that command to order to meet, and the letter that went with it. That was for real. And
So
the,
he smoked out these traitors, not in public, but when the cameras were off,
yes,
and read out their names. They had to stand up and then what? Be dismissed.
they military police, I guess you call it, that MPs, like
MP,
what we
right?
call them in the Navy, military police came in, they turned around, they're cuffed and they're marched out, and they're flown to Gitmo or Iceland, I mean
From
Greenland.
what?
Yes, sir,
That happened.
that happened. Millie was the first on the list, as you know.
Yeah, but I mean, has Millie already been taken in
Yes,
before this or during that? Was he there at that
he was
conference?
handcuffed and marched out. I don't know if he's going to be put on house arrest or taken directly to Gitmo or up into Greenland or something. It depends on a case by case basis until they go to their court martial.
And you're getting this from your intel, Gene?
Yep.
This is I mean, I would not doubt this. This does sound logical to me, like they would do this. So the generals, especially if you're being summoned like that, a lot of them had to be like, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble," right?
Oh yeah, same thing. When I was on the ship, in submarines, you if you got asked to go to see the captain, that's one thing. Your department head or somebody would come to tell you, or the XO executive officer, the captain would like to see you. But the other option is the captain wants you in his stateroom now. Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, I
Then you
mean,
go, your heart sinks to your feet. You're like, uh-oh, what did I do?
right, you're in
So,
trouble.
yeah, when you get, that's a summons. When you get a summons, that's not good. And
So
even worse, if you say the captain is waiting for you in the wardroom with a few other officers to see you now, then you're like, either you're going to give some kind of presentation. He's going to ask you what's going on in with your situation and what all the people you command underneath you, or you're in trouble.
So when the military police escorted these men out of the room and put them in the vehicle, left, you're saying they were sent to Gitmo or somewhere else, and what happens then? Do they get executed? Do they get just? Are they told just? I mean, are they told to go to? Are they taken to Gitmo? Are they retiring? I mean, do we know? Do you know where? What
They'll go to,
happened? What was their demise, or what's going on here?
yeah, as that document that Sheila read to you, they under the UCMJ, they go to court martial. They're taken to
Wow.
court martial. And depending on the results of the court martial, it can be, if it's treason or sedition, both of those are a death offense. I mean, that's not playing around. You're
No,
sedition and you're under the military, you're in the military and you're under oath to protect the Constitution in the United States and you violated that oath, you're done.
I would imagine Trump would absolutely do that to make examples of those men and scare the shit out of the other generals. Like we're
Absolutely.
not playing. I would say that's a card he would play. I would say he would do that. I don't think Trump would mess around. I
Nope.
think he wouldn't ask anybody to leave. I think he'd use them as an example, arrest them, take them out, and then yeah, probably execute them. I would bet that's something he'd do. Do you have intel on that? Is that what happened? Do you know?
Well, that's what is in line to happen because
Jesus.
that's just recent. That's September 30th. It's in progress right now. I don't know what the tribunals, the court martials, are what their results are at this time. They're in progress, lots of them, because of those 500 that were there were quite a few of those that were taken out.
I would
And
imagine, yeah, more than a few dozen.
and then there's the other option is, depending on their position within the deep state, so to speak, within the cabal, what kind of asset are they? What kind of information, if they rolled, would they give? Tactical information. So you will, they might be given an offer. You can avoid a death sentence or you can avoid XYZ sentence because you have valuable intel. And if that intel pans out, you'll be given some breaks. If it doesn't pan out, the sentence already commuted, uh, through the tribunal will be enacted. So I'm sure that's on the table too, going on.
So we don't have an exact number of how many generals were
On at
court-martialed.
this, because it's in progress right now, and it's all being taped. And later on, for the normies, the blue pillars type, they will seem to be coming out live, and they'll show the tribunals probably Millie first, and then that pretty much just like the list Sheila Holmes showed you, it'll go right in order, right down because they put that's military. The most important first, the first one up the list goes. That's the first one in the line. The next one is the next one, and on down the list. So yeah, and of course they have many, 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 many JAG, officers and judges and in court, ready to preside already because they've increased the size of the YMCA down there. That used to be the YCMA in Cuba. That's why it plays the
So,
YMCA all
so
the time.
wow. So these guys were kind of set into a trap. They were summoned to this conference with Pete Hegseth, and a lot of them were. You're telling me a lot of them were court-martialed out of there as traitors.
They were taken out of there to go to court martial. Yes.
Wow. That's huge news. I mean, but that makes sense to me, Gene. I mean, that would be logical, to be quite honest with you. I'm sure my audience thinks the same thing. Um,
I think anybody with a military career or a medium amount of military experience knows that when you're caught with your pants down, as we say in the military. You're done. You go to in front of the captain, or you go in front, as a captain's mast. But when you're in port, if you're going to court martial, you're taken off the ship in cuffs, and
Right.
the chances are you're going anywhere but Leavenworth or something worse is almost zero.
You
I
know,
have been to a to a situation in which, when I was running the range in Puerto Rico, I a submarine demanded weapons free to fire its torpedo, and I said, "You negative, weapons tight," and they fired anyway. They
yeah.
shot the. We don't say fired because that has a different connotation. They shot their torpedo anyway, and so that was on. Everything's recorded, and I said that because there was a tanker coming through the range. It's open ocean, even though it's a tracking facility, and so the ship went right over where the torpedo shut down. And so they said that I caused they couldn't find the torpedo. The ships went and the helicopters went out trying to find it. They couldn't find it. They said I was responsible for a Mark 48 torpedo being lost, which is a pretty heavy asset. And I said it's not lost. And this is because of my remote viewing. They go, "What do you mean?" I said it is floating at about 50 to 100 feet below the surface. It didn't surface, but it's not gone, and the ship didn't hit it. It's going to be caught in the prevailing current, and it's going to wash up in Haiti. There you go. How could you possibly know that? So they called a investigation. I mean, it wasn't a. Well, it's not a tribunal, but it's an investigation nonetheless. And I had quite a few admirals, and I was grilled 8 hours a day for a week. And I presented all my material. The range people like me, said they had all the tracking material, where things shut down, where the ship went. And I said, it couldn't have hit it because it's here and the torpedo was this far away. It's close. And then they said, okay, all of what you said is correct. You did tell the submarine negative. You have weapons tight, so they are not allowed to fire. So you're cleared that way at least. And, my captain was impressed. He said, it's amazing that you're not going to Leavenworth and going to a court martial from this. So from there, 2 weeks later, or excuse me, 2 months later, the captain called me to his office, and I thought, he just said, my commander said the captain wants to see you in his office. I knew I'm not, in trouble. So I went in. He said, "How do you know what you know?" "Oh, they found the torpedo in Haiti. So a fisherman found it and got it in a net and called the number on it to get the reward for the." They go, "Yeah, how do you know all that?" "I just do." He goes, "You always amaze me, but you're right. That's exactly what happened. So your record is completely clear." So, that's a different type of hearing. It's not like what they're going to, because I wasn't absolutely guilty to where I'd be then sent to a court martial. It's a different type of hearing, but nonetheless, that was pretty rough. I was grilled like crazy, and I just, at the end of every day, I was so washed out. I'd go work out on the beach and with my martial arts to calm myself down.
Yeah. I'm just thinking to myself right now, that is absolutely what probably happened. These generals were court-martialed out of there, and that
Yep.
just tells me we are prepared for what's coming next. Can you
hmm
give my audience some insight on what you believe is coming next, according to your intel, according to your research? What do you see? How do you see this playing out in the next few months, Gene? Everything that's
Well,
going on
actually,
within our
what's happening?
country, with Israel, the hostage release, the whole thing.
Yeah. So actually, what is happening is the alliances are ahead now because they have intel about everything the deep state is going to do before they do it. So they were going to create a civil war in the United States with all the people, the military age fighting men, illegals that came in. Trump's deported a lot of them ahead of time, but you can't get them all.
No, there's millions here.
Yeah, there's 51 million that came in during Smokey's Joe's term as the head of the corporation. So because of that, like what happened is happening in Chicago. The governor of Chicago is creating a wall so that the ICE and the military can't get through. So he thinks. That'll last about 5 minutes when they come in there. They'll bring tanks in. Those
Yeah.
are aircraft, and those will come. They'll blow the bejeebers out of that, and they'll be through that in nothing flat. I mean, that's nothing for trained military to go through something some civilian governor thinks is
Yeah.
I mean, you're not trained hard, hard military, dude. You're not going to make it.
I mean, all they
So
got to do is section off McDonald's and Burger King and close in on the perimeters. And once these guys can't go get their fast food or go home to their couch and lay there anymore, they're done.
yeah,
These
it's
protesters
like
are done. They're not battle ready. They're not fit for this. It's over. And that's why I was going to ask you: are we going to see? Because I've also heard foreign military is involved. Like there are some Chinese, Iranians, Hamas that are more military trained or hardened. They're not Antifa. They're actually Muslim Brotherhood, the whole thing, and they're actually using the tunnel systems below the cities.
well, there's small stuff like you can use the sewer system itself.
Right, they
They
do that here in El Paso, by the way. I know the illegals that go through the sewer system all the time. But
Yeah,
I mean, is there elaborate tunneling systems that maybe the Hamas or whoever is using to attack?
nothing but like the regular uh, drainage systems, because the alliance has the rest.
Got you.
And so with the Chinese and the other groups like some Iranian and things like that in there, and Hamas and Ukrainians, a lot of Ukrainian actually, that are Ukrainian are pretty seriously battle hardened. They've been
Oh
fighting
yeah,
a long time.
they're tough
So
dudes, man. That's a
yeah,
different breed right there.
so like with Operation Midnight Hammer, they showed one where they got an apartment building surrounded and went with 300 and then and arrested up to over 12. I believe, or I think it was over 2 dozen, so it'd be over 24. But those are just Santiago and those kind of guys, which some of them have gone to Ukraine and gotten training and then come back to be part of this. So there are some that do have the training and they do have the weapons like Stinger missiles and that stuff that went into the black market. Because like over half of them went to Ukraine, actually wound up in a black market and came back to the U.S. to be used for this. That was done on purpose. So that's why they didn't want any accounting done because they were planning this out, the deep state, and Trump knew that, and the alliance knew that. So they've already compensated. When they say they've grabbed a weapon, a lot of weapons, and they say they give you a number, multiply that by 10, and add that the weapons are automatic weapons that you would see in Ukraine, and
Damn.
including missiles, drones, all of it. They're grabbing all of that stuff. That's in Portland, that's in Chicago, that's in Memphis, that's in all the cities they're currently in. There's a lot of other cities besides Portland and Chicago right now they're involved where they've got military. Trump's already got military sent in there.
Okay, so this seems to me like is there going to be an event that kicks off? Is Trump going to sign an insurrection act after, like, with a certain event that kicks off, or are we going to see uh, Trump just make the move without an event kicking off? What I'm trying to say here is, do we wait for the deep state to play their hand and then counter them, in your mind, or do we move first and then wait for and then not even worry about that and just get moving? Like, how is this going to kick off? Is it going to be an arrest? Is Hillary going to be arrested? I've heard that her testimony was postponed. I mean, what intel are you getting regarding that? The arrest, an arrest happens first, an event happens first. How does this kick off?
Well, as far as the cities go, he's got a list, and he's going down that list of the ones that it's their list that they were going to activate first.
Right.
And they've already got they know that the deep state will react and try to jump the list. So they've got people ready already in all of the sanctuary cities and other ones as well, because they prepared for this, just like the Insurrection Act was signed in 2018 in his first term.
Okay. So
So
I've been told by other people that it was not signed. Well, it wasn't signed in January 6th. That's what I was told.
yeah,
It was not signed on January 6th, correct?
No, it was signed in 2018.
So that's a whole different ball game. Okay, so then that would make sense to me, actually, more so. So that's already signed. That's why he was able to take control of Biden in 2020, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so now we're at this part of we're in this situation, we're in the part of the phase that we're in the phase of the operation to now we have to quell and neutralize the coming civil war.
Correct. Their attempt to create one. They won't do it
Yeah,
because
I'm sure, but they're still going to go for it. Obviously, it's not like they're just going to throw up their hands and say, "Ah, we're done here. We lost." No, they're going to go all in, and then hopefully, probably have a terrorist attack or event that.
yes,
Okay, do we have any idea what that's going to be?
well, they have what is called a rapid strike force too in all the different military bases throughout the U.S., which can get, with the aircraft that we have today, they can get those forces anywhere in the state pretty darn fast. And you're talking people like, JACO, SEAL Team 6 people that are SEALs and Army Rangers, and they know what they're doing, and they can get from point A to point B within a state and before much even goes down.
Delta, the whole thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So they're positioned and ready. I know troops are coming to Fort Bliss. I know troops are heading to Laredo, Texas, which tells me some kind of border situation. I mean, Laredo is probably one of the most dangerous cities in Texas, if you ask me. Man, it's a shady area, man. I've been to Laredo, and there's a high crime, high narcos, a lot of drug trade, a lot of narcos just walking the streets over there. I don't know how you're going to get them out of there, but I guess the military can do it. What are we preparing for?
Well, I don't know. A lot of people may not have grown up in a big city. I did. And even this is in 70, I was riding my bicycle into part of the city in the middle of the day, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. And all of a sudden, bottles started coming out of the, bushes at me. And all these people poured out, and I realized I'm in the Latin section of town. I'm not Latin America. I'm not Latin of anything. So I'm white boy. And so I immediately whipped my bike around and took off as fast as I could go while I was being chased. And they're running fast on foot. I had to really book up to get out of there. There are war zones in the in all the big cities in the U.S.
Yeah,
There are war zones. You do not go in there. You not even in the daytime, and you definitely, if you want to come out alive at all, you don't even think about going there in there at night. If you're not from there, you don't go there. It's like in Die Hard, where he had him go into this black area and wear a sign, and it's like that's a war zone. He's going into people
yeah,
didn't realize what they're looking at because they may not have grown up in a situation in a big city. I'm sure you've been familiar with it. That
right.
you go in the wrong place in the wrong time, and even there is no right time in certain areas. I know certain areas of Chicago, certain areas in New York too, that I knew when I would go to those cities. I went to visit a girlfriend that was in New York, and when I drove in, I had to run across the street, jump out of my car, run across the street, and she already had the door hanging open. As soon as I got there, just instantly opened it and slammed it behind me, and because they're closing in on me right away. And
Wow.
that's a war zone. If you're white, you don't belong there. And she didn't. She came down not showing her face, so they don't know who let me in either. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me you lived in a war zone? It's like we got to bet somewhere else. So I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't sleep. And the first thing is daylight. I was out of there. I ran in my car and said, I'm out of there. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm never going back that place. And that's quite a few cities are like that in the U.S. Most people don't realize it. Most of your big cities, San Francisco, New York, Chicago, even National City down by San Diego had a place like that. I mean, there's quite a few of those areas. So that's what Trump's talking about. And most of your big cities in Europe have that now too, because of the illegals, where you've got war zones. You have a
Yeah,
lot of
you got it
a
here in
lot of
Juarez.
yeah, you have a lot of the illegals that are the very aggressive, like type of Muslims,
Hmm.
Islamic, that are the ones that want to kill and take over cities and all that stuff. Not all of them are like that in the home, but there is a significant portion that want to spread Islam over the world, and they want you here a lot over the world. And so they'll come into a city and destabilize it and get in the police force and infiltrate it. And
Right, which they've done here
yeah.
in many cities, right?
Oh, yeah. There's a police chief, and he was making the announcement when he first started. There were 2%, and now it's 63 or 67%. A video was sent to me, and I have no doubt that it's real. And he said, now we can enforce Shahara law. So we're taking over the city.
So
And so,
that's the problem I've been thinking about is it's one thing to get the illegal immigrants out of here. What about the Muslims that are enforcing Sharia law and have communities in, Dearborn, Michigan, taking over the whole damn city and Plano, Texas? What do we do about them? How is this going to work out for them?
same thing, military strike force. Because you're allowed to practice your religion, but,
You can't enforce Sharia. I mean, if Sharia law is in direct competition or defiance of the Constitution.
Correct. You're breaking the Constitution, you're breaking the law. It doesn't matter how. That will be stopped. And if it requires the military force, it's been done before Trump. Bush did it, and Reagan did it, and other presidents have done it. It's not, Lincoln definitely did it, to the extreme. It was a civil war, and also in the North, there were insurrections and rising up, and so that's not something new. And so they are allowed, and now with the shutdown, everything actually is under the military, everything. So he can go in and do anything he pleases. He doesn't have to go through Congress.
Yeah, but something's got to kick it off. There has to be something where the public goes, okay, it's time. Do you get what I'm saying? Like something has to go, all right. And I would imagine that we're going to let the deep state play that move. We're going to let them do it, so that gives us reason to go in and clean house. I don't think we have the reason right now. I think right now it's kind of passive, aggressive type of thing where the military is just kind of standing back, letting the rioters do what they want. But there's going to be something where it's like, okay, go time, clean house. What is that though? That's my question. What is going to be that little click, that the one where that thing just goes click, go time?
Yeah, that's the question. And how do they work it? Is it like the movie has been, where it's not, for the most part, really happening? It looks like it's really happening, but it's already done. Now you have actors doing it. So it's something that is now being acted out. And so it'll look really real, so that they can then do, something more major. But that's more what I think we're going to see, and not something that's horrifically, close to a civil
How long will the cleanup take, Gene? I've heard it's been gamed out that all cities will have some level of chaos, and then they're going to fall back to 14 cities, and that's been gamed out. Wano Savin has said that on my program. Are you in agreement with that, or do you see it differently?
Yeah, from what I heard, it's 17 cities.
Okay. Oh, well, okay.
Of course. And it's been gamed out, and from what I've heard, it's also supposed to be done by the celebration next year.
Okay, so this will take a year, or just a month, a couple months?
All I know is between then and now it's supposed to be done. I can't say when between then and now.
So it seems like we're kind of maybe, I don't know if we're right on time or behind schedule. I wish I was in the room with these generals. That'd be great.
It would be great with the ones that they know are trustworthy.
Yeah.
To be a fly on the wall and know what's going on. But as we know, only 10 know. And there are absolutely zero leaks, absolute confidentiality with them. That's why nobody can tell you what's going to go in, because they're not in that group. And if they were, they're not going to tell you.
Right. 100%. I understand that. But I'm just trying, I'm doing my best to get as much intel out to my audience.
Yeah.
But I think I bring on great people such as yourself, Gene. And I appreciate your time. I got to get to the hospital, see my pops.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Gene. Where do people find you?
My website's genedecode.org. And that's a pay, and half of it's free, the surface area. The deep dives area is $7 a month, or $77 a year. Then my free website, all this interviews with you, and everyone else I've done pretty much over all the years, is there for free. And that's blessedforservice.org. Then on Rumble, Truth Social, and Telegram, I am Real Gene Decode.
Got it. And thank you for your service, man. Really, I don't ever really tell you that, but you did some crazy stuff in those submarines. So thank you for that.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Things I can't even to this day tell people.
Right, right, right. Gene, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. God
Thank
bless
you.
you, sir.